Hey, I would like to welcome everyone to our first webinar series of 2016. Hopefully, everyone is doing all right. My name is Joe Anderson, President of Peer Financial Advisors. I'm here, of course, with Dave Cook. Dave Cook has joined me today to kind of get through some of this. There's my lovely picture. And then if you haven't met Dave Cook, Dave's been in the business for close to 20 years as well. So what we're trying to do this year is a lot of different things to try to get a lot of information and education out to you. So when it comes to Social Security, there's a lot of different things. There's some things that you need to take a look at because they changed the law at the end of last year. So we'll get into Social Security 101. A lot of you might know the basics, but Dave is going to cover the basics when it comes to Social Security. I'll dive in and talk about how do you maximize the Social Security benefits today. And then we'll look at the new landscape. What is the changes that are going on with Social Security? Because some of you, if you're over 62 years of age, and if you are at full retirement age, there's some things that you qualify for. Others of you that are under 62, well, then there's some benefits that you do not have. So you have to take a different approach or different look at Social Security. Real briefly, if we get into the history of Social Security, it was enacted back in 1935. Franklin Delano Roosevelt, FDR. And then we look at, all right, well, 1975, cost of living allowances were coming to effect. 2000 were some big changes here. This is the Senior Citizens Freedom to Work Act. That was signed in 2000, so 15 years ago. That's where file and suspend, if some of you are familiar, if your client, you probably have heard of that before, file and suspend, and the restricted application came about. So that was back in 2000. Now, with the law that changed late in 2015, those are no longer. So 2016 and thereafter, we have to look at some of these things are getting eliminated. The law was signed last year, but now we have a few more months to take a look at making sure that you do everything appropriately. So first of all, just real basic, what is Social Security? Well, it's income in retirement. 66% of people that are in retirement, they get their income from assets, pensions, but still 34% is still based on Social Security. Social Security is a huge component of your overall financial and retirement planning. So you want to make sure that you get this thing done right. Now, when we look at Social Security, I'm going to flip this over to Dave and look at, all right, well, let's go to Social Security 101 because there's some different basics that you want to make sure that you understand. And we're not going to get into a lot of like WEP, windfall elimination provision. We're not going to get into the GOP or the government offset provision. We're looking at probably 20% of the strategies is going to fit 80% of the people. I don't want to spend 2 hours here on this webinar, and I'm sure most of you do not want to be on this call for that long. We're going to try to get this in probably half an hour to 45 minutes to get you all the information that you need so that you can make the best decisions. So Dave, let's start here. Who's eligible, first of all, for Social Security benefits?
Yeah, so you've got first and foremost, you have your retired worker benefits. So most Americans do receive Social Security by working long enough, of course, to qualify for personal retired worker benefits at age 62 or later. So then you have your spousal benefits. However, if you're a spouse of a retired worker, you may qualify for spousal benefits either now or in the future. Now, if you're divorced, you may also still qualify for your ex-spouse's benefits if that marriage lasted at least 10 years. And there's also certain other conditions that have to be met. Now, the third area of people who receive Social Security are the survivor benefits. So if you're a widow or a widower of a retired worker, you're probably eligible for some Social Security benefits. There are several other categories of eligibility which involve minor children, disability, and we don't get into that today. Again, we're going to try to keep it somewhat high level. Now, if you think you may qualify based on some of these less common factors, please contact us after the presentation and we can review that situation with you. So let's kind of get into how your benefit is calculated. So in order to qualify for Social Security, as a retired worker, you must have worked for at least 40 quarters. Now, your babysitting or lawn mowing jobs don't count. To qualify as work, you must have earned a reported income and paid your Social Security taxes on it. So the size of your benefit in retirement depends on how much you have earned during your working life. So the Social Security Administration keeps a record of how much you've made every single year. If you get your statement, you'll see that, up to a ceiling of $118,500 for 2016. So any amount you made over that annual ceiling does not get taxed by Social Security and does not figure into that formula. So when it's time for you to apply for the benefits, the Social Security Administration will look at your highest 35 years, then apply that formula to arrive at your basic benefit, which is a sum of what you're eligible to collect at full retirement age. So we won't go into, again, the details of this formula. We've had somebody here in the last couple of years try to explain the math. It is not fun. So we're not going to go into that detail, but you can find more information if you go to ssa.gov. They're trying to push people online, and so if you sign up, you can get a current statement of all your earnings.
Yeah, real briefly on that, Dave, is basically what they take a look is the highest 35 years of earnings, and then that comes up with your PIA or primary insurance amount, and so then they inflate it. So if you worked 20, 30 years ago, right, and you're making $30,000, they put an inflation factor on that to what it would be worth today. So now it's maybe $90,000 of earnings. So they take a look at an average inflated adjusted earnings record to come up with your overall benefit. So it's a convoluted equation, but you get the gist is that if I only make $20,000 30 years ago, but they do put an inflation factor on that, so you are credited for a higher dollar amount.
Yeah, and so what would I receive at different ages? This is a big question that a lot of people get. They're not quite sure. So let me kind of go through that. So I mentioned full retirement age in the last slide. So depending on the year in which you were born, it's going to dictate your full retirement age. So it's going to be somewhere between 60, 62, and 70. Your full retirement age is actually, for most people, it's 66 or 67. So for example, if you were born in 1951, your full retirement age would be 66. If you were born in 1956, your full retirement age would be 66 and 4 months. Again, you can get this information on their website. Unless you are disabled, the earliest age at which you can claim Social Security benefits is 62. However, if you will not be eligible for full benefit at that age, instead the Social Security reduces those benefits by 25% of your full retirement age is 66, or 30% if it's 67. So again, depending on your age, if you take it at 62, you will get a reduction of anywhere between 25 and 30%. So if your full monthly benefit at age 66 were, say, $1,000, you'd receive $750 each month if you started collecting at age 62. That reduction in benefits is permanent, and that's an important distinction. However, if you can afford to wait until your full retirement age, you'll be eligible for 100% of your Social Security benefit. And again, if you can afford to wait even longer, your benefit will increase by up to 8% for every year until you reach age 70, and that's permanently. So if your basic benefit were $1,000 at 66, it would increase to $1,320 a month, or 132% of your benefit. Now, if you were born after 1942, you'll qualify for the 8% credit each and every year. Now, we'll discuss some pros and cons and benefits later on in the presentation. We also have to remember, you'll get a cost of living adjustment for waiting. So it could be at 8%. Say there's a 2% cost of living. That could be 10% for that year that you waited.
Yeah, you get the 8% is basically a retirement credit that you get on your overall benefit. Plus, if the Social Security Administration has a COLA on that benefit, then that COLA is not included. So you get the 8% credit based on your delaying your overall retirement. It's a delayed retirement credit plus whatever the cost of living is. So yeah, Dave, I mean, it's a huge impact of a higher dollar figure if you wait.
And, again, we'll go over some of the mistakes that happen and why. But, one of the things that we hear a lot about is, can I work and still collect Social Security? So working and collecting Social Security, we'll kind of go over that right now. So as I said, there is, here's the kicker. While you're working, Social Security Administration will reduce your benefit by the amount shown in this chart until you reach your full retirement age. And so looking again at 62, for every dollar of benefit that you get, and if you earn more than $15,720, they're gonna actually, every $2 over that limit, they're gonna take $1 back. So once you actually reach your full retirement age, so again 66 or 67 for most people, you will no longer be seeing that reduction. You'll actually get recalculated. Your benefit will give you credit for any benefits that were withheld. So usually this result is in a higher monthly benefit. Depending on how much you are earning while you work, you may also be able to replace one of your lower earning years with a higher amount, thus boosting your benefit. So again, you have to understand kind of what the length of your employment is and knowing how much you've put into the system. So starting with the month that you do reach full retirement age, you will start receiving benefits with zero reduction. Again, that's an important, I think, portion of this slide is knowing that once you reach full retirement age, you can work and earn as much as you want. There'll be no reduction.
Yeah, Social Security benefits are based on a monthly calculation. And so here's a quick thing. If you're 62 and you're still working, and if you make more than $15,720, don't take your benefit, because they're going to reduce the benefit $2 every dollar that you earn. They're going to take $1 back. So if you're making $30,000, $40,000, your benefit is going to be reduced basically to zero. They don't take the benefit. It's just recalculated like you didn't take it at all. And then if you're working the year you make full retirement, so if your full retirement age is 66 and 6 months, now they give you a little bit more of a cushion here. You got about $42,000. So if I make $42,000, less than $42,000 in that 6 months that I'm earning, I'm good. They're not going to take anything back. But then once I reach my full retirement age, make as much as you want. You can claim your Social Security benefits while you're still working. They're not going to reduce those benefits. But Dave, the problem is that now you might push yourself up into a higher tax bracket. And of course, we always have to take a look at the tax situation of the income.
Yeah, and so we focus on a lot of taxes here, and I think it's an important impact on everybody who's in retirement, even pre-retirement. But while I wish that retirement meant retiring your worries about taxes, that's just not the case. So some people have to pay federal taxes on their Social Security benefits, as you see in this chart. That there's kind of 3 levels. It depends on your income. So the income limits above which you have to actually pay taxes on your benefit. If you're married, filing separate returns, you almost certainly have to pay taxes on your benefit. Now, the tax rate that you pay depends entirely on your overall income bracket. Again, how much are your required minimum distributions? What other income sources do you have, and when do those happen? Now, and that's again because Social Security is treated like ordinary income. However, according to the IRS rules, you won't ever have to pay taxes on any more than 85%. So the most you will ever be taxed as a portion of your Social Security is 85% of it at the high end. So we'll talk about some strategies to help reduce your taxes in the next section. Now, since your tax burden will also vary accordingly to your income, your residence, your filing status, it's a very good idea to consult your tax advisor, of course, to kind of go over your specific situation.
Yeah, I'm going to go over in a little bit what provisional income is, because what these dollars are, if I look at single right here, it's $25,000, married 32. So your provisional income has to be below those dollar figures, and then your Social Security is tax-free to you. If your provisional income is 25 to 34 or 32 to 44, there's a formula here, but just know that if it's over 34,000 or if you're in this range, then 50% of your benefit is subject to tax. It's not a 50% tax. If your benefit's $20,000, then $10,000 shows up on the 1040. So just understand that it's not a 50% tax. We get that question. Well, they're going to tax me 50% on the benefit? No, just 50% of the benefit is going to be subject to ordinary income tax. And then here, if you're over 34, if you're single, 44 married, then 85% of that benefit is going to be subject to federal income tax. Now, here's another thing. The state of California will not tax that benefit. So if you live in the state of California, where we are at right now, just understand that the state will not tax you. So when you're looking at strategies to enhance your overall income in retirement, pushing this thing off might make a little bit of sense if you just look at the taxes. Because if I receive an 8% retirement tax or retirement credit that we just went through, right? Each year that you wait, you get an 8% increase, and only up to 85% of that benefit is going to be subject to federal tax, and then it's going to be state tax free. Well, I would like a larger benefit to be more tax sensitive to me. So you just have to put everything in the mix here while you are figuring out what the heck you want to do. So that leads in here, well, let's maximize this, right? We want to get as much as we can from the overall benefit. So let me just start here real quickly. So when should I start taking my Social Security benefits? Dave, I mean, we get that question just about everyone that walks in the door. If I know when you're going to die, I could give you the exact figure, but this is a problem. We don't know when we're going to die. So if you have shorter life expectancy, take it. If you have longer life expectancy, push this thing out as long as you possibly can, because you're going to receive that 8% increase like I just said. Now, a couple of other notes. If you need the money, take it, right? If you absolutely need the money, well, you might as well take it, right? So if I'm 62, I'm out of a job, and I need something to live off of, well, take it. Just understand that you are going to receive a permanent 25% reduction in that overall benefit. So a lot of people like to talk about the break even. Is that, all right, well, here, if I'm taking it at 62, well, that's several years before, let's say, my full retirement age, or 66 or 67, depending on when your full retirement age is, right? Okay, well, sure, yeah, that's great. So how much longer do I have to live? Well, the break even, if you want to think of it like that, is usually age 79 to 80. It depends on what assumptions that you want to make. But here's what I'm here to tell you, is that don't look at your Social Security benefits as an investment. You have to look at your Social Security benefit as longevity insurance. It's going to be a guaranteed income stream that you will receive for the rest of your life. So the higher the payment means that the longer you have to wait. All right. So there's some planning around this, of course, but just realize that, hey, if you delay your overall Social Security benefits, you will receive a lot larger benefit.
Yeah, and by my math, you can see the difference between 62 and 70. That's almost a 60. That's 57%, almost a 60% difference between that benefit. So it's a big chunk of change you could be leaving on the table for sure.
So let's look at this slide here. It's like, all right, well, here, one of the most important decisions that you'll have to make as retirees is the choice about when to start taking it, right? Unfortunately, there are no easy answers here. Retirees typically have three choices: take it, suspend it, or push it out. So if I look at 65, all right, so if I go back to the previous slide, this is basically saying, all right, this would be my overall benefit, 1866. So if I push it out, that's that 8% increase at age 66 is 2015, then 2165, and so on. So would you rather have $1,400, or if you waited to age 70, you got about $2,500, and then you're going to have that cost of living. So here's the rule of thumb, is that take it, of course, when you need it, but try to push this thing out as long as you can. I've been given that advice for many, many years, but unfortunately, a lot of you still don't like to hear it or listen to it or take action on it, because still, on average, people take their benefit in this realm here. I think the last time I saw the statistic of people taking Social Security benefits at age 70, it was like 2%. So it's not the old rule of thumb here, too, of saying, all right, well, here, my parents took it as soon as they can get it because the thing's going to run out, and we're going to, it's the lockbox. I don't want to get political. I just want to look at your financial well-being. If you take a look at the numbers here, right? So pushing this thing out as long as you can, of course, is going to give you the highest benefit. So I would encourage you at least to maximize it as much as you can. If you're single, right? If you're a widow, you might want, and I'll get into claiming strategies in a second here, but let's say you take your widow benefit and then you continue to push out your own retirement benefit as long as you can. If you've never been married, you want to push this benefit out as long as you can, because no one's ever complained by pushing this thing out. Either you die before you take the benefit, and who cares, you're dead, or you have a lot larger income stream coming in the door. We all know that we're living a lot longer and everything else. The numbers have changed significantly too, because the life expectancy, all right, the life expectancy tables for Social Security are still back in the 1980s, right? So OBRA, when they signed that bill, they made some law changes back in the 80s. So life expectancy in the 1980s to 2016 are completely different. We're living a lot longer. So if you took the benefit in 1980, 1990, it didn't matter if you took it at 62, full retirement age, or age 70, because of how the life expectancy tables worked, everyone got roughly the same amount of money. Because if I took it at 62, I got that haircut, right? So I got it earlier, then I died. If I took it at full retirement age, I got a larger benefit, well, then I died. So if you add up the cumulative benefit amount, it was roughly the same. But now we're living that much longer, so pushing this thing out is going to add significantly more dollars to your bottom line over your lifetime. So if I didn't beat that thing to death, I don't know what will, but I'm encouraging most of you that are on this call, try to push it out as long as you can. All right, so let's look at here. Collect when we got spousal benefits, and then we have survivor benefits. So we want to maximize the spousal and survivor benefits. So I'm just going to read this chart here. So if I look at spousal benefits, when can you collect? Well, the primary worker is still alive and is applied for Social Security benefits. So the spousal benefit is going to be, so if I'm married, right, I can then take half of my spouse's benefit. All right, so let's say my spouse's benefit is $3,000, my benefit is $1,000. Well, the spousal benefit would be $1,500. So I can take the spousal benefit when the primary worker is still alive, all right, and is applied for their Social Security benefits. So the eligible for partial benefit spouse is at least 62. So if I'm not reached 62, I cannot claim for the spousal benefit. If I do take the spousal benefit at age 62, just know that you're going to receive a reduction there. Eligibility for maximum benefit. So the spouse is at retirement age, and then you will collect that full 50% benefit. So you can collect the spousal benefit if you are under full retirement age. Just understand you're going to have a reduction in benefit, but that other spouse needs to claim for that benefit. Now, survivor benefit. So this is when the spouse is no longer living. So how this works is that you take the higher of the two. Let's say my spouse's benefit is $3,000 a month. My benefit is $1,500 a month. My spouse passes. My benefit automatically gets ranched up to the survivor benefit. So that $1,500 will go to $3,000. All right. So you take the higher benefit. So how do you collect? Well, your spouse has to die. Eligibility for partial benefit. Well, survivor is at least 60 and will collect 71.5 to 99% of the benefit. So there's the widow or widower benefit. You can claim as early as age 60. So if your spouse dies, you do not have to wait till age 62 like the retirement benefit. The survivor benefit is it's completely different calculations. It's its own entity, so you can claim as early as age 60. So the survivors at full retirement age, it will collect 100% of the benefit. So that is eligibility for maximum benefit. So you have to be that full retirement age to get the survivor benefit. So let's say if I'm 64, my full retirement age is 66, my spouse dies, I have to wait till full retirement age to get the full maximum survivor benefit there. So some different rules when it comes to spousal benefits, when it comes to survivor benefits. You just want to make sure that you maximize this. How do you maximize the survivor benefit? Well, the spouse that has the higher income, the spouse that has the larger benefit amount you should push yours out to protect your surviving spouse. So let's say if I had a larger benefit than my wife, right? So I would want to push mine out as long as I can, because then I would get that 8% retirement credit, right? Then if I were to pass, then my spouse would receive that higher benefit. Okay. Now, another confusing factor here when it comes to spousal benefits. So the spousal benefit is calculated only on the full retirement age. So if your spouse then pushed off their Social Security, it's not based on those retirement credits. It's only based on their full retirement age amount. All right. So if you have questions at all, I'm going to give you some information on how to contact us, and we'll answer any question that you have. You can just email us at info@purefinancial.com. But I'll talk about more of that in a bit. There's 527 different combinations to take your Social Security benefits. This is ridiculous. This is one of the most complex systems in the government, but it's extremely important. All right, family maximums. If you take a look at your Social Security statement, you might see in a line that reads, total family benefits cannot be more than X amount. So some of you might be, what does this mean? Basically, this is the way that the Social Security Administration limits the amount that a family can collect on one single Social Security record. This is because Social Security doesn't want a family to get significantly more than a worker earned while employed. Generally, the family maximum is about 150 to 180% of the retired worker's full benefit. So this usually comes into play when you have minor children. And so this is more and more common too. So if I'm at full retirement age and I still have minor children, well, then there's benefits for the children. There could be spousal and then plus retirement benefits. So for example, if a worker has a minor children at home or a stay-at-home spouse who is caring for those minor children, it also may be an issue if a worker dies, leaving dependent family behind. So there's a lot of different things here. So just real briefly on that family maximum. It just went. Sorry about that, folks. Let's go past. All right. Now, this is probably one of the most important pieces of today's little chat because there's some changes to the regulation that occurred back in 2015. And so I just want to make sure that everyone really, truly gets what the heck is going on with the new landscape here. All right. File and suspend. So on November 2nd, I believe, 2015. So the president signed into law HR 1314, the Bipartisan Budget Act of 2015. Basically, they snuck this bill in here. A lot of people really didn't understand what it meant, file and suspend. A lot of individuals, like I said before, just take their Social Security benefit as soon as they can get it. So there was no real planning around claiming Social Security unless, in my opinion, they worked with a knowledgeable financial professional. But the new regulation significantly changed the Social Security planning landscape for millions of retirees. The changes mainly affected the biggest two. That helped you increase your lifetime benefits. It was file and suspend in the restricted application. So this is a strategy in which one spouse, typically the higher earner, files for their benefit, then suspends them, and then suspends a claim for benefits to allow delayed retirement credits to occur. Why in the heck would you want to do this is the question. Because for someone to claim the spousal benefit, the other spouse had to file for their own benefit. So if I'm filing for my benefit, but it's like, well, wait a minute, I don't want to take that benefit right now. I want to continue to let it grow for me. So the Social Security said, okay, well, you can file for your benefit. You don't have to take it. You just have to file for it. And then you can let the benefit continue to accrue by that 8% per year. So you can take advantage of the delayed retirement credits. So it's like, all right, well, let me file and let me suspend them. Why people did this was three reasons. One is that if they had minor children, then they could claim on that person's record and get a benefit. Two is that if I filed for my benefit, then suspended them, all right, at full retirement age, and let's say then, because my anticipation by doing this strategy was for me to claim those benefits at a later date, possibly age 70. And if something happened to my health, let's say at age 69, and it's like I'm terminally ill, it's like, man, I should have claimed my benefits before because this, I lost money here. No, you could retroactively go back to the Social Security Administration and say, you know what, I filed for my benefit at full retirement age. I suspended them. Let's retroactively pay me like I did take them at full retirement age. The Social Security Administration then would send that individual a lump sum check. So that was the second reason why people did this. The third reason was that, all right, well, if I filed for my benefit and then suspended them, that allowed my spouse to claim the spousal benefit, okay, to claim the spousal benefit. So this is what Congress, they said, you know what, there is no more file and suspend. We are getting rid of this. There's still a window for you to take advantage of file and suspend, and I'm going to get into that momentarily, but I just wanted to explain the concept. The restricted application is another. Okay, the restricted application is that, all right, well, now let's assume I'm married. I filed for my benefit and I suspended my benefit. I'm allowing my benefit to continue to accrue by 8% per year. The restricted application works like this. So let's say my spouse says, you know what, since you filed for your benefit, but you suspended them to allow an 8% increase on your benefit, I want to take advantage of the spousal. But my benefit, I don't want to touch my benefit. Right? So let's say we had the same benefit amount, $3,000 a month each. I then claimed for my benefit. All right, I suspended them, let my benefit grow by 8%. Because I filed, my wife, my spouse, she could go, all right, well, I'm going to file a restricted application. And what that restricted application allowed her to do is just take the spousal benefit. So that let her own benefit accrue by 8% per year. She was able to take the spousal benefit at that point until she flipped her benefit back on. The restricted application is no longer. So the definition, I guess, when a retiree files for spousal benefits, instead of claiming his or her own personal benefit, typically to allow his or her own benefit to accrue credits while still receiving some income. So those are the two big changes, all right? So let's get to the bottom line. Oh, I'm scared yet. Oh, we don't want to get to the bottom line here. I'm going bananas. All right, Megan's going to kill me on this thing. I'll get there. Oh, see? Keep on. All right. So, okay, here's the bottom line. So, you had to turn 62 by the end of last year, all right? So, if you're younger than 62 by the end of 2015, all right, you will no longer be able to receive benefits on your spouse's work record while your own benefits are suspended. If you'll be younger than 66 by May 1st, 2016, no spouse or child would be able to receive benefits on your work record while your benefits are suspended. All right. So here we have a very small window. So if you are at full retirement age, or if you will make it at full retirement age before that May 1st deadline, it might behoove you to file for your benefits and then suspend them, because after May 1st or April 30th, they don't really know what that date is that it's gone. File and suspend is gone. So there's a small window here for some of you to still file for your benefit and then suspend them. Now, if your spouse is over 62, that spouse, all right, if they were over 62 by the end of last year, so January 1st of last year, they are still eligible to do the restricted application. All right. So for those of you that are on the call that are under 62 years of age, all right, then you will the restricted application is gone. You can't file. You're done. Now, and if you're not going to be full retirement age by May 30th, all right, then, or May 1st, I'm sorry, of 2016, May 1st or April 30th, then file and suspend is done. So you have a few months to make sure that you do this. So how does this affect you? All right. So retirees who have already filed and suspend or filed claims for restricted spousal benefits are grandfathered. You're fine. You're good. Don't worry about it. Keep taking the money. You're all set for now anyway, right? All right. Number 2, retirees who will be age 62 by the end of 2015 may still be able to file restricted claims for spousal benefits if their own spouse has filed for benefits. Okay. So like I said, if you're over 62, all right, you can still claim the restricted application, but it's a little bit different, is that your spouse actually has to claim their benefit. So the file and suspend is that they actually have to claim their benefit. So there's still the restricted application for people that are over age 62. Then they'll file and suspend here retirees who will be age 66 before May 1st, 2016 may still be able to file and suspend their benefits if they do so by April 30th. All right. So what? It's the end of February, I believe, middle of whatever. And so you got a little bit of time. A little bit of time.
I'm just glad they didn't use a 62 and a half. They could have made it more correct. Or 66 and a half.
Right. Well, everything's a half. And then number 4, retirees who are too young to claim benefits by May 1st, 2016 may not be able to use these strategies, though the timeline may change. So if you're under 62 or you're not going to make full retirement age, just looking at this, then those benefits are no longer. So if you will be age 66 before May 5th, 2016, and you have not yet filed for your benefits, you have a short window of opportunity to increase your lifetime Social Security benefits. So that's the main group of people who need to take action. All right. Those of you who will be age 66 before the May 1st deadline. If this includes you, I strongly recommend that you seek professional advice to determine whether you should file and suspend while you still can. So if you're a client of Pure Financial Advisors, make sure that you get in the office. Get in the office as soon as you can so we can run an analysis. If you're not a client of Pure Financial Advisors, you can always call our office and we can help you to determine what is the best move for you. It may make financial sense. So under the new rules, does that mean that couples shouldn't coordinate their claiming strategies to maximize their benefits? We get that question. Absolutely not. In fact, making the most of your benefits is more important than ever, and couples will still be able to benefit from a range of claiming strategies when you consider all of the options. One spouse claims early, one delays, they both claim on time. You'll see that there are hundreds of possible combinations to consider. I'll repeat what I said earlier in the presentation. If both spouses are in good health and at least one can expect to live until age 80, all right, so they are likely better of letting the higher earner spouse or delay their benefits. We're living longer. The higher spouse earner should delay their benefits to get the credit. All right. Hopefully that made some sense. Now I want to get into this slide. Maximizing income from excluded sources. You might be thinking, what the heck does that mean? This is very, very, very important. This is some really cool planning that we have done with our clients. Is that, all right, well, you have to understand how income works, all right, and how it's taxed and what makes sense for you. All right. So when you look at, all right, well, how about the tax treatment of Social Security benefits? Another way you can help maximize, right, the total income that you receive is by reducing the overall tax bill, right? So control the things that you can control. So what they do is they look at, all right, well, what is your adjusted gross income? What is that? And then they look at what is your tax exempt income? What tax exempt income? That would be municipal bonds, okay? Then they add in your Social Security benefit. That equals your provisional income, all right? So they look at your adjusted gross, your tax exempt income, then 50% of your benefit. Then that equals your provisional income. Then that determines what that number is of how much is going to be taxed, okay? So how much of that income is going to be taxed all depends on that number. So when we looked before, is that, all right, well, if that number is under $25,000 if you're single, then your Social Security benefits are tax-free. If it's under $32,000 if you're married, well, then your Social Security benefits are going to be tax-free. But if it's between 25 and 34 if you're single, then 50% of your benefit is going to be subject to income tax. If it's over $34,000, then 85% of it's going to be subject to income tax, right? So if you're married, so the numbers on this provisional income is what I'm talking about. If it's between $32,000 and $44,000, right, then 50% of your Social Security benefits are going to be subject to tax. And if it's over $44,000, right, well, then 85% of the benefit is going to be subject to tax. Now, this is a big thing here. Potential excluded sources of income, right there. Roth IRA distributions. Roth IRA distributions. So if you have a Roth, if you have money in a Roth IRA, this is huge because you can take distributions from your overall Roth IRA and it's not included in this computation. If I pull out $100,000 from my Roth IRA and take my Social Security benefits of, let's say, $30,000, and I'm living on $130,000 a year, 100% of that income would be tax-free to me. My IRA, because the Roth IRA is excluded from this, it's not included. So your benefit, your Social Security benefit, is going to be 100% tax-free. Or maybe you have a small pension. Well, that's going to be included in your AGI. Right? But then maybe you take small distributions from your retirement account and then you pull everything else from your Roth. Well, if you do this right, then maybe only 50% of your Social Security benefit is going to be subject to tax. That's why we believe so much in tax planning and Roth IRA conversions, Roth IRA contributions, because it will have another potential huge impact on your financial life. This is a huge deal. It's a huge, huge deal.
And I think it's an important distinction to remember, the two main areas of tax-free income that we talk about, municipal bond income and Roth IRA distributions. In that last calculation, municipal bond income counts against you and is used against you in the taxation of your Social Security, where, as we said, Roth IRA distributions are not. One quick way, if you are taking Social Security right now to understand how it's taxed, look at the front page of your tax return. you'll see a line that tells you what your Social Security benefit is. The left side of that line is going to tell you the gross amount. Then you're going to see on the right side of that line, it's going to tell you what you were taxed on. If you simply take the number that you're taxed on, you divide it into the gross amount, it's going to tell you the percentage of your Social Security that is currently being taxed. And you can do that right now. Grab your tax return and do a quick calculation. Then you can start adjusting your tax strategies accordingly.
So let's not make any mistakes here. So let's kind of wrap this thing up by looking at some different mistakes that people are making with their overall benefits, and hopefully this is not one of any of our listeners here. All right, Dave, take it away, buddy.
Yeah, so, the first is, ignoring spousal and survivor benefits and not understanding the rules and not knowing where you're at. We see clients every week and every once in a while you'll look at a situation and you'll see, okay, they're not claiming any kind of Social Security, and we'll look at their ages and going, you know what, you could have been claiming Social Security benefits, spousal benefits for the last couple years. We see this pretty regularly. So just understand kind of where you're at, what your spousal and possible survivor benefits are, and what they could be available to you, and just make sure you know where you're at. The second is, of course, as we mentioned, claiming too early. And claiming too early, as we mentioned, is the likelihood of most people just claim it as soon as they possibly can without a real understanding of the impact of what that's going to be over the long period of time. And a lot of times Social Security is not going to reach out to you and make sure that you're maximizing it. They're going to take your order, essentially. They're like McDonald's drive-through. They're not going to help you out too much, but you do
right,
need to make sure.
They can't. I mean, if you're asking them for a claiming strategy to the Social Security Administration, they can't give you advice. They might be able to tell, if you ask them something, they can say yes or no, but they're not going to give you any type of advice on what claiming strategy is appropriate for you.
Yeah, so sometimes not having the answers is not as important as knowing what questions to ask, and so sometimes that's really important. But also claiming too late, as we kind of covered, if you want to postpone this as long as you possibly can, you're 68, 69, and you get, you've got some health issues, a terminal illness, something that happens, and you've claimed it too late, that's also an issue. And if you absolutely need the income, as Joe mentioned, sometimes you have to take it. If it's the 90% of your income is Social Security, it's something that you have to be mindful of. And then forgetting about the earning limits, knowing kind of how much credits you've put in, knowing that 35-year history, your highest earning years, kind of where that's at. Again, this will show up on your statement. So if you haven't received a statement, jump online, go to ssa.gov, log in, get a current statement, and get an understanding of what your current earning limits are. And kind of if you're making $150,000, know that you're only earning up to 118 for Social Security purposes.
Yeah, and another thing based on that topic is that if you're going to take your benefit at age 62 or prior to your full retirement age, just understand that you can't make a lot of money without them taking money back from you. So if you retire, or if you're still working at 62 and you decide to take your Social Security benefits, if you make more than $15,000, just know every $2 earned, they're going to take $1 back. So there's a lot of different rules that you want to make sure that you are aware of. And then looking here, last but not least, is ignoring the impact of taxes. Taxes, right? Control the things that you can't control. You can control risk, you can control fees, you can control taxes. If you can control the taxes, that means that you can limit the risk that you're taking on in this crazy stock market we're living in. Right? Then it also will help you control your discipline when things go bad. Remember, waiting to take this benefit, right? If you haven't taken it by pushing this thing out, you get an 8% credit, right? It's not taxed at the state of California, and the maximum tax it will be is 85%. So, and not getting professional advice, and that kind of leads us to the conclusion and the next steps. How can we help? Well, what we've done is that we have the new Social Security calculator based on the new rules and laws. So if you want to sit down and go through an analysis to see what is the best way to take your Social Security benefit, like I said, there's hundreds of different options that is going to be the most optimal given what else you got going on. Right? How much income are you trying to drive? What's your tax bracket? How much assets do you have? I mean, there's a lot of different moving parts here. We can help you understand your Social Security benefits and develop a strategy for you for your overall retirement. We have one of the most sophisticated Social Security planning tools that is on the market, and it's brand new. It just actually released because of the new rules and laws when it comes to file and suspend restricted benefits and things like that. So if you want to take advantage of this, hey, we're here to help you. All right. So go to our website. If you have questions, go to info@purefinancial.com. You can ask any question that you'd like, and I will get back to you within 24 hours. I'm really good at that, or you can always just email me personally. Or if you're a client of the firm, just email your advisor or me, whatever. I'll be more than happy to help you out. Let me help you out. All right. So for those of you that want some additional help with this, I'll be more than happy to sit down with you. There's no charge to it. We'll take a look at your overall situation and figure out exactly what you need to do. All right, so all you got to do is fill out this form that will be emailed to you momentarily, and then someone from our firm will get back to you. So I want to thank everyone for joining us on the call today. Hopefully you found it informative. There will be replays of this, so if you missed any portion of it, it will be on our website. Stay tuned because we're going to have a lot of these webinars coming up in 2016. Again, if you have any questions or concerns, you can always get a hold of us at purefinancial.com. Want to thank Dave Cook, and again, my name is Joe Anderson. Hope everyone has a wonderful day, and we'll see you again real soon.